Isn't it interesting how reading something or watching a video or just consuming content of any length can completely shift your perception or feelings or just change your whole outlook on life? Now, this is Aspiring Creator. If you're new here, welcome. This is going to be the third episode that I've now recorded twice for reasons I'm about to explain to you. First time we've shot this on video, no idea why. I've just decided to start shooting on video as well. This is uploading to Spotify, so I thought, Spotify also hosts video, though most of the times I listen to podcasts, it's mostly audio. So maybe let me know if you're watching the video. Feel free to leave comments on the Spotify side of things down below. It should also be on other platforms now as well. Now, there was a video or podcast, there was a blog post put out by Dan Mace last week, I think it was, and it was called "Do Views Really Matter?" And I kind of skim read it. I had a couple of interesting points in there for me as a creator. Notably, the one that stood out to me, I think, was the point where he determines if you're getting, between 1 to 300,000 views, then you should be like commanding sponsorship rates for just 60-second ad read integrations upwards of like 10, 15, $20,000, which I thought was very, very interesting. But he did comment that he knows lots of people that are at that stage in terms of their views, but are charging much less, like $5,000 or so. And I always find that's fascinating because I find a very similar thing. Most creators are not charging enough for their brand deals and integrations and those kind of things. But it's a fine line that you balance because, of course, the content has to perform well, and then generally, if the content performs well, then the brand deal performs well because there's more traffic going to the conversions. But I want to focus on this because do views really matter? Really struck a chord with me, and mainly because coming from Dan Mace, who works with Mr. Beast, if you don't know, he works on his Mr. Beast philanthropy page, which is a bad video is like 20 to 30 million views. And to be fair, he calls us out on the blog article, and it's actually a really really balanced look at balancing like creativity with like performance and earning money and income and getting views, because ultimately views equals higher views equals bigger sponsorships, and it just kind of keeps repeating. And that's kind of the cycle we've been on for some time. And my focus recently has really been on trying to get more consistent views, which we've done. We've improved on our views, and we've got some consistency in terms of the views we're getting. We still get the odd kind of flop of a video here and there, so to speak. But this really didn't touch a nerve. That's the wrong word. I think it more really confirmed some decisions or choices that I currently have to make that I am still making and still deciding. And so there's a couple of bits I want to read out to you here. And the first one is the difference between creativity and being a creator is a creator has to deal with an audience by definition. It is part of the game. And this is really separating being creative, which is creating something you're proud of and really, really like into, and you scripted things meticulously, you've edited and produced and put a lot of heart and soul into something, versus being perhaps a creator who serves an audience to a certain extent because you've got your audience to serve. And these are two separate things, though, of course, as we all know, they kind of combine themselves into what we all know now as YouTubers and creators and that whole creator economy thing. And that's where it becomes interesting, because creator economy, and when money gets involved, certainly creators do need to earn a living, but there's that balance. And Dan kind of essentially calls it as the point of like selling out. Like, at what point do you sell out? And I've been thinking about this a lot because I've always had in the back of my mind my retirement plan, and I'll give it to you. My retirement plan. My retirement plan is I'm going to work, hopefully, for 5 more years, being a creator and creating YouTube videos and doing brand deals and integrations and affiliates and sponsorships and all those kind of things. 5 years, and as long as I can continue earning what I'm earning, investing what I'm investing, I'm stashing a lot of what I'm earning away in investments, then in 5 years' time, our investments will be of certain size that I never have to work again. I can still provide for the family, and essentially all of our investments will be delivering a certain return that will replace our annual salary. Very fortunate position to be in if it comes off. But actually, the investments we're putting things into at the moment, the funds we're investing in, are delivering like, I kind of used a 8 to 10% conservative estimate, but they're delivering more like 30 to 50%. at the moment, and I know that's not going to continue. But historically, for the last 3, 4, 5 years, these funds have delivered 30 to 40%. So that's going to put me way, way above where I need to be, assuming things continue. And so the question of like selling out, I kind of read Dan Mace's blog article and just thought, am I selling out? So he questioned this really. Whether or not are selling out is a difficult question that only you can answer for yourself. But whenever I make a video, I ask myself these questions. Did I enjoy making it? We all come to creativity because we enjoy it. So if I enjoyed making the film, this is a pretty good starting point. Now, of course, this doesn't mean it wasn't hard. If I hated it, that's a problem though. Number 2, am I proud of it? Number 3, am I thinking of my creation as a contribution or as something that's going to take away from people's time and feed my pockets? If this was the last thing I ever made, would I be satisfied? And he's got a couple of kind of final ones here. What would 14-year-old Dan think about this video / film / project? And then most importantly, what was my intention? And just reading through those really resonated with me because the recent success, if you could call it that, we've had with a couple of our videos, the Has Apple Already Won, although we've retitled that now to The Untold Truth of Buying an iPhone. That video, I was so proud of. We spent a lot of time in the edit, getting the music choices right. A lot of the work was done by my editor. I was actually super proud and impressed of the kind of the edit we got back. And then the other video, which was the 3 months later S24 Ultra video, which again, we scripted as well as we could do. And I'm trying to kind of predict what the comments are going to be in, the negative comments that we're going to come through and trying to answer those, any kind of, any issues in the comments before we make the video so I can kind of wrap that up in the video scripts and try and address those in the video itself. And those 2 videos I have been so proud of. They've performed relatively well, but the thing for me is they've had great audience reception. And for me, I've kind of had this tipping point recently where I want videos that people enjoy watching, which sounds a really silly thing, but I want to create videos that people watch and they get to the end of the video and they're just like, oh, that was a great, great use of my time. I was entertained. I was informed. It was a great content to watch. The music was great. Acting was great, or the B-roll was really good. Like whatever it is, I just, after having that success with a couple of videos, it's given me a taste of perhaps what my content should be like. And the problem is we've got a schedule full of, let's keep the ball rolling, and we have some sponsorships and integrations and dedicated videos coming up. And I'm potentially getting to the stage now after reading this of perhaps we just don't do any dedicated videos anymore, no matter like how much people offer for it, because whatever a dedicated video is, it's still not going to be the video you would make. Okay, there's an exception to the rule here. So I'm going to talk about this one. This is something I'm kind of thinking along the lines at the moment. So I've got this Dell 40-inch monitor in front of me right now. And this is like where my weird head is at the moment. I've mentioned it in a couple of videos recently, and we have had some very, very keen interest from, like, in the comments, when's your review coming? Please review the Dell 40-inch monitor. I'm ready to buy one. I really, really want to get one. Let me know your thoughts. Like, I want to post your review. And I want to post the review, but we also had an email from Dell through their affiliate platform like a month or maybe even 2 months ago or so. And we suggested to them, this would be a great monitor to do a dedicated video for. Because in terms of like monitor reviews, I always find that with monitor reviews, it's not typically like, it's not really a review. It's really just putting it through the various tests we put monitors through, like check the brightness, check the color, the saturation, check the frames per second within various games, check any haloing, check the resolution, make sure you can't see the pixels when you're looking too close. So it's really just running a series of tests and then reporting on our test results. So it's less of a review, other than, of course, I have an opinion when I'm clearly and freely available to share my opinion. So we have approached Dell to say, look, there's this great opportunity where we could make a dedicated video about this monitor that we already want to make, that our audience already has an interest in, and that, yes, conveniently, they could then pay towards. I mean, I've actually bought the monitor myself. I put my hands in my pocket and spent £1,800 on a monitor for a review. So really, we should review it. But it's just that, it's that overlap of we have a dedicated video that we've got a video that would be a great video about a monitor, about products I want to make a video about. And we have a brand that was inquiring about a brand deal, about sponsor content. And we've put it to them so many times, and they keep kind of, oh, I'm gonna put this to Dell, and we're gonna see what they say, and back and forth and those kind of things. But it's frustrating because I'm sat here going, I have people in my comment section asking for the video, so I should make the video. But when you've got a brand that's right there saying, umming and ahhing that they might sponsor that same video that you're going to already make, so you can actually make money by making that same video, it's one of those things that it's frustrating for me, very much so. I should just get on and make the video, but again, I have staff to pay, I've got a family to look after, all those kind of things. So that's just something that came into consideration. However, as a blanket rule, we should not be doing dedicated videos, because typically dedicated videos distract us from the content we should be making. The content our audience enjoys, it engages with, and it's just things that you really shouldn't do. And you'll perhaps see on my channel in the coming weeks a couple of videos that I just, after reading this post from Dan Mace, I just really thought, should we have really done them in the first place? And this is where I'm kind of getting to. So I will wrap up here on this point. Did I enjoy making it? Am I proud of it? Am I thinking of my creation as a contribution or something that's going to take away from people's time and feed my pockets? And if I look at lots of my videos recently, I do feel that really only those 2 videos, I feel that I've really made an effort. I mean, all of it's an effort, but addressing the point of, am I proud of it? I've kind of got into this routine because, the comment section in YouTube can be so brutal that I barely look at my comments. I'll look at them within the first 24, 48 hours because they're generally positive at that point. But generally after that, I don't look at it. And sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. But am I proud of making the videos? That is the thing that I'm hung up on at the moment, because do I want to continue going for the next 5 years, making videos that earns good money because I know they're going to get views? We research certain topics. We know that's a hot topic that's going to get views, and we get more views, which means we can do bigger sponsorships and we can work with bigger brands and that whole thing. But there's a balance, and it's that question of, am I proud of it, that I'm struggling with, because I want to make more videos that I'm proud of. I want to make more videos where I get the edit back from my editor and go, shit, that is a fucking awesome video. I'm so happy, which I did with those 2 videos. So proud of how those videos came out. And when I posted the videos, I was I was on YouTube Studio. I was waiting to see what the audience's reaction was, because I was keen to get the feedback and see what people thought, and if they thought it was as good as I hoped it would be received as. And I haven't had that with any of my other videos for a long time. And so that's really just got my head spinning, and why I basically came back. This is the second time I've shot this podcast, because I had a whole list of things to talk about, and I went to the gym. This is literally, it's 9:15 p.m. on the 1st of June. Where's my phone gone? There. It's 9:15. Oh, that's unlocking it. 9:15 on the 1st of June. On the day after my birthday, it was my birthday yesterday. Happy birthday to me. And I just came back again because I was like, I just waffled in the video I shot earlier. And I read this Dan Mace's blog post whilst I was at the gym like an hour ago. Had a shower, jumped in the car, came straight back to the studio and said, let's do this again. Because I feel that blog post and the discussion about do views really matter really just superseded and was way more important than all the other bits that I had to discuss. And I had a separate point. This is so the way this podcast works, sorry, I know we're 10 minutes into it by now, 14 minutes. The way this podcast works is every single week I write down just a list of things as they come up in my kind of day-to-day life. And then we just talk about them. Every week I'll sit down and go through the list of them in whatever order they come up with. And so I'm actually going to work backwards this week. So started off with that Dan Mace, do views really matter point. And the next thing I actually wrote was caring about what people think about my videos, which is actually how I ended the podcast when I recorded it earlier. I just hadn't read that Dan Mace's blog post, which really kind of rounds off exactly what I was thinking of. And then the next thing I wrote, exactly the same point, slowing down to make better videos. And this is, again, it's a balancing act. I have people to pay. If I was to slow down and make 2 videos a month, but then I have people to pay, a team to pay, I have my own mortgage to pay, and wife and family and kids and schools and all those kind of things. So if I reduce the number of videos I make, that caps the amount of revenue I can earn as a creator. So I need to have a chat with this. I'm actually going to chat with Angus, my channel manager, about this tomorrow on our kind of weekly coaching call we have. Not channel manager, sorry, like consultant, external consultant. And just chat about this whole process. And I think we're going into this process, we're going to try and make one of these types of videos a month, which again just feels totally stupid to me. I want to make one video a month that I'm proud of, and the rest of them are just like 3 videos that I'm not proud of. Like, how stupid does that sound? I want to make 4 videos let's change that. Every video I make, I want to be proud of. And that's really the change that I want to see put into my channel. And that means turning down things that, even though they're paid well, they are things that I'm not proud of. Speaking of things I'm not proud of, let's move on to the next few things. So I was moaning about events, about, I don't get invited to events. I want to get invited to more events. And I'm at the stage now, I think, where actually what we're going to do is there is a brand, there's probably 2 or 3 brands I really, really want to work with that I'm going to sit down and have a chat with Chris, my channel manager, and we're just going to pitch to them. I think we're going to put a pitch deck together, maybe even have a call with Justin Moore, who's this brand deal wizard guy. He's a fantastic resource. Follow him on Twitter and everything else and YouTube. Really, really interesting. And we're going to just pitch to these brands. I think that's the best way we can do it. However, there are other events that I have been invited to, or had and now have been invited to, that I just wanted to run over. So after me complaining that I'm not invited to events, I have been invited to lots of events all of a sudden. And I just want to run you through a bit of kind of background on what happened and what they were like, and just really, really show you behind the scenes on what these events were like. So the first event I went to was an Amazon Creator Summit or Amazon Influencer Summit. It was last week. It was in London, 2-day events. And it was probably it wasn't the best event as a tech creator, I will say. So basically the focus there is Amazon, creating an Amazon storefront, uploading videos to your Amazon storefront to obviously get people to buy products on your Amazon storefront so you can earn the affiliate income. And the event was mostly focused on beauty and fashion and those kind of creators. And I was literally sat on a bus where there was like loads of women behind me going, I've got 2 million subscribers or 2 million followers on Instagram and this and TikTok. And they're all like up in the millions or 800,000 subscribers or followers and what have you. And so I was a very small fish in the pond in these events. And so the way it was set up, it had a room on the right where you had like the booths, which for a tech creator only had Logitech with only like 6 products in there. It had Philips, which were full of shaving products, and it had Samsung storage only, so SD cards, micro SD cards, SSDs, and that was like it as far as tech was concerned. The rest of it was fashion, makeup, health, hair, beauty, those kind of things. And they had a few sessions, like speaking sessions put on, so you could obviously sit down and learn about AI. There was one session around tech, which was very interesting. Really, it was just pointing out the obvious of, this is when Black Friday comes up. This is a great time to kind of start making content. But I found it a bit weird, because the way it was set up was that you got given this card as you walked in, and you got stamps. And you got stamps for uploading 3 videos and 3 images on each product or each brand that was there. And in exchange for those stamps, you could then exchange them for secret prizes, which were like a lamp or a t-shirt or something like that. And I saw loads of people were like frantically like doing the content thing, getting the stamps, getting the whole book stamped, taking it in to get their prize and those kind of things. I just felt it was a very clever way of Amazon getting a lot of free content out of all the creators they'd invited. Because, why would you... I don't know. Why would you do that? Why would you sit there and basically work for the next 2 days on taking photos and videos and talking, creating this content for free just for a t-shirt? It just seemed a bit weird. And the way they worded it in the book was that you had to stay till the end of the second day to collect your prize. So it just felt like they were kind of stretching it out. And what actually happened for me is I stayed for the whole of the first day, did a few sessions, walked around the booths. I sat down and chat with the Amazon kind of help team. And the things we struggle with as Amazon affiliates with as a creator is that I have like 15 different Amazon accounts, because I have an Amazon account in every country. And if I want to do this storefront thing they want me to do, I have to create a storefront in every single country, upload my videos to that storefront in every single country. It's just not practical. If I wanted to focus on one, maybe it's America and then the UK, maybe Canada, if I really want to focus on those kind of top three. But when I asked them about if they have any plans, they really they couldn't really give me anything in terms of trying to mold it all together in one. Because they're like, well, if the product doesn't exist in this country, then we can't do anything in that country. And if you're cross-posting it, it just doesn't work. I kind of would have thought that as Amazon, they could kind of figure that out. Product doesn't exist in that country, don't show it in that country. Those kind of things. So yes, Amazon was good. It was fun. Amazon paid for they contributed towards the travel. They paid for the hotel for a couple of days, which was really, really nice of them. And will I go next year? I probably would go next year, actually. I met some interesting people. There was only a handful of tech creators that were there. They put on an evening event, and honestly, I'm like this weird introvert. Not weird introvert. I'm an introvert where I love creating video content. I love speaking to a camera because I'm here on my own. Nobody else is here looking at me weirdly. But I have this I've seen plenty of examples. So I have this social media that just drains. And then I got to the evening and I was in London. The sun was shining, and so I don't really want to go and spend the next 4 hours with loads of beauty and fashion influencers. I'm just going to walk down Oxford Street in London, get a Five Guys burger, and just enjoy the sights. I actually started looking at theatre shows and see if I can get into one of the theatre shows, but I was literally 3 minutes too late to get in for the entry at the time. So that was Amazon. The next event I did go to last week also was a Samsung event, and love Samsung, love all the time I get to spend. It was at Samsung KX, which is their King's Cross kind of studio / store. Anytime I get to go to Samsung store and spend time with the Samsung team, I'm gonna take it because I love Samsung products. As you probably well aware, I love their widescreen monitors, love their phones, love all their products pretty much. So yeah, anytime I can get to spend with them was great. I went to them for a launch, which I'm probably not allowed to talk about until the next podcast. I hate that, the whole I'm not allowed to talk about it. But I was kind of fed some information of we're gonna that product that you really want, or might be there, and then we went, and it wasn't the product I was expecting whatsoever. I love the products they've released, or I will be releasing. Really, really cool products. Very, very good products for a certain specific market. But I kind of wanted to take that product and make it into the thing that I wanted to see. So maybe next year that will happen, or maybe the year after, because it's one of those you need technology to develop a bit more. That was fantastic. None of it was paid. We actually paid £600 to stay in a hotel, me and my videographer, the day before, so we could get there on time, make sure we had time to shoot the content. And unfortunately, we were invited to lunch after the event happened, but we had to then rush off because our parking was running out, and we couldn't extend the parking because it was trying to extend it on the day, which just doesn't work apparently. So that was fantastic. Also got to meet Alex Gear and Tech. If you are listening / watching this, hey, awesome to meet such a really, really cool creator. I've no idea how he fits it in. He does a full-time job. He also has 2 channels, a Brazilian channel and a British or English channel. And they are basically both at 75,000 subscribers. Their Brazilian channel's about to overtake the main channel, I think, which is just, incredible work. So that was the 2 events. Now, in terms of other events, this is how quickly things happen. So I had an email in 2 days ago about an event that's happening in Paris in 2 weeks' time. And we said yes. We replied back and said yes. And we are now currently waiting to see what's going to happen. What dates are we needed to travel? Do we need to fly? Do we need to catch the train? The hotels, what dates are there? And when's the event? And what do we need to do at the events? And so we're not sure anything about what's happening there. It's not paid. It's just, they will probably cover the travel and the flights or transport and those kind of things. Similar deal to the Amazon event. And then the next event, and this is the other event, and going back to the whole discussion I was having before about, am I proud of the work, paid for work, dedicated videos and those kind of things. We were approached by a PR agency, and they essentially said, our client is hosting this event. It's on Monday, so it's literally in 2 days' time. And here are all paid for collaboration. We'll pay for you to create content whilst you're there. And this is the fantastic thing about having a channel manager, in that Chris just dealt with all of it and still is dealing with all of it. And so he kind of does the initial negotiation, confirms the pricing, gets to a stage where he's like, okay, Pete, this is what we're going to be doing. Cool. Are you ready to go ahead with it? And I said yes initially because it sounded fine. and then actually sat down to start preparing for it. And I started looking through the content brief on what the brands or what the PR agency wanted. And it was 5 shorts, but they literally detailed exactly what each of the 5 shorts were, like what the topic was of each. Make sure you get these types of shots. But the wording on the entire content brief was to the point of the shorts must be minimum of 15 seconds, no longer than 30 seconds. You must include this video is sponsored by at the beginning and end of each short. You must tag this. You must do this. And if you miss one of these things, the whole contract is null and void. And I just started reading through that, and I was just getting a headache from trying to figure out all the different things I needed to do. And I know that's technically Chris's responsibility, but just reading that, it was like a 20-page document. And I read it and went, this just feels like it's something that they're trying to do to catch us out so we make a mistake and then they're not going to pay us. So we're going to travel, do all the work, produce the content, post the content, and then they go, well, you didn't do that, so we're not going to pay you. That's what it felt like. And so I actually changed my mind at the last minute. I went back to Chris and said, dude, I'm just not feeling this. This doesn't feel like it's going to be it doesn't feel like it's going to be good content. It doesn't feel like it's going to be an enjoyable experience because we're under pressure. Like there's this event we're attending that's like 2, 3, 4 hours long, and we have to make sure we capture everything for those 4 or 5 shorts that they exactly want and produce them within like 2 days with approval in the middle of. So they need to approve them before we get to post them and all this kind of stuff that's going on. So I just went, sorry, I'm not going to do it. And it was actually prompted by going back to Justin Moore, the content wizard, creator wizard. I think that's his name. Justin Moore, content creator wizard. No, creator wizard. There we go. He posted on Twitter earlier this week a video of his kids and his whole family playing a game, having fun, laughing, smiling, joking, running around, like just enjoying themselves. And the fact that he spent the last like 4 or 5 days just purely having fun with the kids and playing games. And there's nothing quite like a bit of parent-father guilt than seeing someone else spending time with their kids and going, shit, I should probably spend some more time with my kids. It's half term. The kids are off on a holiday at the moment. We were meant to be in Devon for my whole birthday week, but because the weather wasn't meant to be that great, we decided not to. So instead, I just worked more. And I've taken the last few days off for my birthday, but I haven't spent anywhere near enough time as I was hoping to spend with my kids and my family. So that also factored into my decision of, look, let's just not go. Because what we'd also planned, I was going to go to Legoland with my kids and wife for the day on Monday where the event is happening. And I said to my wife, I said, look, actually, this brand that I want to work with, it's a brand we haven't worked with before. It's a great way to make kind of connections. It's through a PR agency. It's paid. They're paying a fair amount for the kind of sponsorship rates and what have you. So it seems like a fair opportunity to both kind of tick the events box, tick the traveling box, tick the new brand box. Potentially that could lead to other things in future. So I actually said, look, are you cool if I go to the event? And, because they're that brand's paying money for this sponsorship thing, maybe I can buy some upgraded tickets so you can just, get the fast passes and go on the rides and maybe take your brother or something instead of me. And so that was the original plan. But I decided, look, no, I'm gonna do what I probably should have done all along and go to the event. Go to the event? Go to the event. Go to Legoland with my family, with my kids. Let's not do this sponsored thing anymore. And so Chris, bless him, I'm sure he put an absolute ton of work into it, then had to go back to the brand and say, actually, sorry, Pete's now had a look at that and we're not comfortable with, the things you're asking for. And essentially the brand just said, well, okay, well, what can we do? Like, please, like, we really want to work with you and Pete. What can we do to work with you? And Chris, essentially at this stage, we weren't doing it. So Chris just went, here is everything we need to be able to work with you. And it was like, remove this, remove that. Don't have like all the requirements and details in there that you need. Like, give us creative freedom to make the content we want. We can still adhere to all the FTC guidelines and those kind of things, but just scrap all the stuff and scrap the line in there that says if you miss one of these things, when the whole contract is null and void, because that just didn't seem necessary whatsoever. We're gonna do to our best efforts, do all that we can do. If we make a mistake, we make a mistake. We'll correct the mistake. But I don't feel that should then null and void the entire contract and mean we don't get paid a thing. So there was those kind of things. And one of those points was negotiating the fact that I won't be at the events. It was actually going to be Chris and Hudson, so channel manager and videographer, going to the events. And I feel this is fair with lots of events going on. There's lots of events coming up into kind of October, November kind of time as well, that you should be able to send your team out to cover the events and then report back, collect the information, shoot the footage, and then I can script something based on the information they provided and create some, honest, good content, short form content around whatever's happened at that event. And so I felt that was fair. And that, again, Chris had to negotiate back and forth because they wanted me there. And I'm like, well, they are getting me. They're getting me. The channel is there. It just happens me physically, person, not there. But I will be in the shorts still. I'll be, the voiceover on the shorts they're shooting. And so just negotiating that whole piece. And they are there now. Like Chris and Hudson, they are going to go there in 2 days' time, do the work. We're going to produce the content. But it just goes back to that whole point of slowing down to make better videos. Am I really proud of this content, or am I going to be really proud of this content? Possibly not, because it feels like it's a rush. It's an event. We have to cover it. We have to produce the content, send it to them for approval, then post it, and like literally within a few days, all the content is produced. And this doesn't feel like an optimal way of working. And going back to a video, which is next on my list, actually. Sorry, my phone is going off. People are talking to me. Gerald Undone posted a video about Panasonic Lumix and the S9 launch. And this was a video around the fact of like the state of camera YouTube. And actually it really encompasses general YouTube, not even just tech YouTube, just YouTube in general, about events. And this was such like a timely thing because of my rants before about like I want to go to more events. I want to do things and meet people and see new brands and go do stuff. And his perspective on visiting events with brands was very, very interesting as somebody who has done lots of it. Gerald has done lots of it. And I'm relatively new to it. I've only done maybe like CES, which we actually funded ourselves and then found paid work whilst we were there. And we did an honor event last year, which was great. Again, that was kind of a branded trip. And it's really this whole perspective of when a brand takes you out to an event, you feel compelled to make content whilst you're there because the brand's paid for you. They paid for your flights, paid for your accommodation. They're hosting you. Maybe they've taken you to a beautiful location, so you're in a great location. If you want to review something, it's a great place to shoot some content. And also, typically, these kind of press trips are accompanied by an embargo date where there's a new product launch, and at this particular date and at this specific time, that embargo is going to be lifted, so you're now allowed to talk about the thing that they've launched. So it might be a phone, a phone is launching at a certain time. In this case, it was a camera launching at this exact time. And so all these creators, they're on the event, they're having fun, they're hanging out, they're using this new kind of camera in Japan, it was, creating loads of cool content. But then they are under pressure because they know that at this specific moment in time, all the other people around you are going to post videos about the camera because you're all in the same space and all shooting the same kind of content. And all those videos are going to look the same, mostly because you're shooting the same kind of videos in the same places. And so there's this pressure that you have to publish a video. And generally speaking, the problem that Gerald was pointing out is that one video he posted like a year or even 2 years ago, I think it was a positive video he put out about a Lumix camera. But the title of the video said, great camera, but questionable, or something like that. It wasn't that exactly. But because it said, but questionable, Lumix apparently have now blacklisted him from all future visits. And essentially the way it was kind of worded is that they are going to invite creators that they know that will publish positive videos about their product. Because if you have anything negative to say about their product, then you're off the list. You don't get invited. You don't get access. And that's kind of the state of play in a lot of places. There's the Insta360 kind of thing that happened a month or two ago as well about them asking people to remove sponsorship disclosures from their videos. And it just seems to be a growing trend with brands are basically trying to do anything they can to control the narrative of what the videos are going to be like. They are, pushing videos. They're putting paid ad spend behind certain creators' videos to push their videos further. Even the creators themselves are paying to boost their videos' reach with ads just to try and keep up with everything. Because maybe their channel's got to a certain size where the brands have a certain expectation of their views, and so creators are having to sit on this hamster wheel of continually churning out videos. And there is one channel that posts videos now, and every single one is it's basically an advert. And it's got to the stage that I still watch his videos. It got to the stage where I was watching his most recent video, and all the comments in the video are, "It's so sad that this channel has just become an advertising, I can't remember the words now, but it's so sad that this channel has now basically declined and just pushes out ads without actually creating some proper content. And you can see with things like view stats that loads of videos are boosted to get the views. There's videos about pool cleaners that have 500,000 views and 5 comments on them. And it's not the first one, and he's not literally. There is like a good chunk of the tech community, tech YouTubers that are doing this with their videos. They're buying views to make it look good, so they can attract more brands, to then charge more for their brand deals, and it's just this never-ending cycle. And so, seeing Gerald Undon's video about this, and Peter Lindgren also did a follow-up video about how his experience are, working with various brands, and he came up with that Sony and DJI, there were 2 brands that he could say that he'd worked with, and they were fantastic brands to work with, because Sony are great and receptive with feedback, and they take it back, and you don't feel like that you're attending a Sony event and you have to create content for Sony. It's that kind of thing. And similar with DJI were very much, apparently with Peter, just as stages of, hey, we're going to launch this new camera. Can we send it to you? Like, no, you don't have to do anything. Just want to send it to you and get your thoughts, and give us your feedback. And Peter ended up creating a video that's one of his most popular videos on the channel. And then DJI then spoke to him and said, well, whoa, that was not what we were expecting at all. We just wanted to get some feedback on the camera. So I just find that's really, really interesting perspective to see how different brands react for different content. And it's making me wonder how I go ahead with this whole desire to visit more events and meet more brands, because I don't want to have this pressure going back to wanting to make content I'm proud of. I want to meet the brands and experience the products and use the things, but I don't want to be under any obligation to create content about it, because again, I want to be proud of all the content I make. And to get to that stage, you probably have to drop 90% of the videos you're going to make, because you really need to focus down, really, really niche down and focus on creating stuff that you love. It's the stage where a product comes into the studio here and I'm like, oh, this is such a cool product. I want to make a video about this because it's so, so cool. That's the stage I need to be at for every single video. And we're just not at the moment. That's just not the stage we are. And I'm going to be very, very aware of that going forward as we start looking at brand events. Because I still want to visit them. I'm not saying no. I just want to make sure that we are reaching out to, I don't want to say reaching out to nice brands, but making the most of our brand deals. Not the most of our brand. That's the wrong words as well. God, Pete, why are you talking at 10 p.m. at night? Don't make the most of our brand deals. We want to make the most of just creating damn good content. I'm going to stop waffling now. So there are a couple of things I'm going to finish off with. These actually were what I started off with on the last podcast. Very, very short things. We are now shooting pretty much everything in S-Log, which is Sony log format. And it's because I now have a videographer who can shoot in S-Log, because I cannot figure out how to shoot in S-Log when you're outdoors and it's sunny and you're trying to expose for the face, but then everything else in the entire frame is blown out. There's that whole thing. And even with using ND filters, and then the sun changes, it goes behind a cloud, and then now you're underexposed, and it's that whole thing. So now we can. The footage we are shooting is looking so much better. We've had so many positive comments. Again, it kind of compounded on the videos where we were using that content within those videos that I was really, really proud of as well. It just really, really kind of worked along, and the editors, getting really, really great at putting it all together. And then to finish off, the whole teleprompter versus no teleprompter. Now, I had a bit of a identity crisis, you could call it that, in December, January, where I actually discussed about the fact that I don't like using a teleprompter. I just feel like it's disingenuous and not like... It feels very impersonal, because I know I'm sat there reading from a teleprompter. As much as I am trying to make it natural, it's still me reading from a teleprompter. Even though I've sat there and written it myself, and I've had the time to really carefully choose the words I want to use and make sure something comes off in the right way. And I was really kind of going against the grain and going, I just want to not use a teleprompter and speak from my heart. Problem is, when I speak from my heart, things end up being 40 minutes long, like this podcast. So this is why I script things. However, I have now changed my opinion on this, because, again, these 2 recent videos that have, I was going to say popped off for me. It's weird. I feel those videos have popped off for me, but they have not popped off in terms of views. And this is where I was chatting with my team earlier this week, where I'm at the stage where I am willing to accept that I'm going to get less views on a video, because I want a more positive overall experience. I want people to enjoy the videos. And if that means it's not going to reach a wider audience because, maybe they reach wider audiences because I say stupid things and it's just a stupid video that no one really cares about, and they're like, oh, you made a mistake, which then pushes the video further. I want a video that's going to get people going to the comments of like, which I did have on those videos. This is the first time I've ever left a comment on a YouTube video. This was such a good video. Thank you so much. Love the editing, love the music, love it, like the storytelling. Like I want to get more of those comments, and that's like I've had like a taste, and I want more of that. It's like a drug. I want more of those like super cool, good drugs. Don't take anything from that you shouldn't take. So now I'm very aware now that I can script. I can use a teleprompter. I just need to make sure that we are spending our time creating content I'm proud of. And going back to Dan Mace's points again, because I feel this is such a valuable thing. Again, this just depends on your perspective. And going back to what I opened up with, how a piece of text, like literally, I read this in the gym over like the half an hour of the hour workout. I was just reading through it because it was quite a long blog post, just reading a paragraph at a time. How just reading that can not change my perspective, but really confirmed what I was thinking, but wasn't too sure about how I deal with it. And I'm still coming to terms with it. So it depends whether you're in it to make money or get the views or make good content. And it's this balancing act between getting the views to get paid, but also making stuff you're proud of. And that's a very, very fine kind of balancing game. Whether or not you are selling out is a difficult question that only you can answer for yourself. But whenever I make a video, I ask myself these questions. Did I enjoy making it? We all come to creativity because we enjoy it. So if I enjoyed making the film, this is a pretty good starting point. Of course, it doesn't mean it wasn't hard. If I hated it, though, that's a problem. So for me, did I enjoy making it is something I'm going to really, really focus on in all my videos going forward. Am I proud of it? This is probably the biggest one for me. I want to get to the stage where every video I post, I'm proud. I'm showing it to my friends before I post it because I really want to get their reactions. I'm sat there on the YouTube comment section when I post a video because I really want to see what the audience thinks of my work as well. Dan mentioned it in the blog post, but when you make a recommendation to someone for like a music track, if they then turn around and say, no, that's crap music, like that really like hurts your feelings. So the fact that you even care about sharing someone else's content just shows that people can care about the trivial things. So why should I not care about the stuff that I'm making? And at the moment, I am and I'm not. Like I said before, I'm kind of got to the stage where I just can't keep up with things. And it's just, by the time the video's posted, I'm already working on the next video. And so there's not really the focus on, let's see how that performed and do something with it, because we're so far down the track in terms of creating new content. Am I thinking of my creation as a contribution or as something that is going to take away from people's time and feed my pockets? That, again, is another big thing. And I think for me, the realization is we just have a blanket rule that we do not do any more dedicated videos. We do integrations where they fit and where there's a need and it's a good integration and it's a brand we're happy to work with, but we do not do dedicated videos. And maybe this is something I need to put through like Angus, because I'm sure I've said this before, and then a company offers me something and I'm like, oh, that'd be really cool to have one of those. Let's do a video on those. So let's go through like Angus, and he's the filter of should we do that dedicated video in the first place. That's a good thing to implement. Let's do that. If this was the last thing I ever made, would I be satisfied? And for me, weirdly, like that, I don't know, just the whole storytelling piece of that iPhone video, the history of Apple, the untold truth of buying an iPhone. I felt like literally the closing line of that video was like, and that is the untold truth of buying an iPhone. And I was like, boom, mic drop, music plays, like sad music, makes you kind of worry about what's going to happen next. And like, that's such a good ending. And like, I would have been happy if that was the last thing I ever made. But I need to make another one. So that's now the worry now. I need to make another one. And then his last one's here. What would 14-year-old Dan think about this video film project? That's not as applicable. He's talking about him when he was first starting to get into videography and films and those kind of things. And then lastly, most importantly, what was my intention? Is my intention just to get more money? Is my intention to entertain? Is my intention, again, to really be proud of all those questions before that, be proud of the video itself? And so I'm going to leave you on that this week. That's been a very long podcast, 44 minutes. But thank you so much for watching or listening. There should be a little comments thing down below if you're watching or listening on Spotify, just to give some feedback. I'd love to hear your feedback on whether these are useful, interesting, or if you have any questions. And I will see you hopefully in 1 week's time. And hopefully I'm not going to skip one this time. But thank you. Speak soon. Bye-bye.